Welcome back to Power Play. The strike at Canada Post is now on day 5 with mail and parcel delivery right across this country totally shut down. Both sides remain far apart and a federal mediator has now stepped in. Procurement Minister Jean-Yves Duclos oversees Canada Post for the federal government. Hi, Minister. It's good to have you here in studio. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you, Vassy, and hi to everyone listening.
I have a number of questions for you about the announcement that you made today, a significant announcement when it comes to housing. I know it's an important issue for everyone watching, but I wanted to start off on another issue that a lot of Canadians are following right now, about an organization that you oversee, and that's Canada Post. They are at a kind of far apart from the union. The strike is entering the 5th day. Once again, you oversee Canada Post. We had the company here. They said they've been asking for the federal government to have a look at its mandate, that they need a mandate change in order to stop bleeding money. Are you considering that?
Yes and no. No, because we want Canada Post to continue being a service-first organization to the service of all Canadians, including Canadians that live in rural and remote areas. We know it's more difficult for them to get letters and parcels. Second, yes, we know and we hear from Canada Post that their mandate needs to evolve because we are in 2024. Letters are more rare. In 2006, we used to receive 6 billion letters as Canadians per year. Now it's less than 2.5 billion. So we all understand that Canada Post needs to serve Canadians differently. The good news is that the parcel market is growing very quickly. As we all know, we're buying electronically more often. Parcels need to be delivered, including to all Canadians regardless of where they live. And again, that's most likely going to be an important part of the future mandate of Canada Post.
Can I ask you bluntly, are you willing to change the organization's mandate? I know you're saying yes and no, but I think the company is asking very clearly for a change in the mandate that they currently have in order to stop losing $3 billion every 6 years. Are you going to change their mandate?
So it's got to be service first for all Canadians, regardless of where they live. However, yes, there will be a change in the mandate, in the actual ways in which they implement that mandate. They are obviously very conscious of that. That's why they need to work with unions, because workers are also part of the solution. We want unions, workers in Canada Post to be there for years and decades to come. Obviously, their work will also need to evolve as Canadian habits also evolve.
Can I ask you, do you think it's sustainable for Canada Post to continue losing the kind of money that they are losing? When you talk about service first, I get what you're saying. People in rural areas and remote areas need to be able to get mail, to get parcels delivered. It seems like, though, the model that exists right now has led to nothing but financial losses, which is why the company and the union are so far apart, in particular on wages. The union contends it's not just that, they're investing badly, they're still taking bonuses. The company says, no, the model is broken. Do you think it's possible for Canada Post to turn a profit?
There are costs to having Canada Post serving Canadians everywhere they may live, but it's part of the mandate of Canada Post. So we know it's more costly to deliver parcels in more remote areas. This being said, that's part of what Canada is. However, as you said, now these financial considerations need to be part of the renewed mandate of Canada Post in the years to come. It cannot be that we would be hoping to deliver letters in 2035 the same way we do it in 2024. We know delivering letters will eventually vanish almost completely from the mandate of Canada Post. So it needs to be a new mandate, but still based on the same overall consideration of serving every Canadian.
Very quickly before I move to the next topic, how soon are you willing to change that mandate? Because according to the company, they've been asking your office and your predecessor for a long time.
Yeah, well, they've been adjusting. They've been investing very significantly in safer and more efficient work.
Sure, but the mandate change itself.
Well, again, there will need to be conversations. We want to be clear with Canadians that Canada Post needs to keep serving them. Obviously, they need to invest in technology, in workplaces that are different from the workplaces that we currently have, given that, again, letters are not going to be delivered to Canadians forever.
Okay. How soon, though, might that change?
I would expect in the next year or two.
Okay, great. I did want to move on to the announcement that you made today around housing, part of a series of announcements your government has made to kind of address the supply issue in this country. This is opening up 12 additional pieces of federal lands in order to be leased. And I wanted to know from you, I was looking at some of the facts in the press release, and it was showing that Of the, I think, 83 in total now pieces of federal land that have been offered up, just 5 of them have had requests for proposals. Ultimately, is this the right strategy to have a big, meaningful impact on supply?
Yes, it is the right strategy because, yes, there are only 5 plus another 3 this morning that have official call for proposals. That is meaning that partners and stakeholders, non-for-profit housing proponents, private developers, cities and municipalities can formally propose ways to transform these federal properties into affordable homes for Canadians through these calls for proposals. 5 having closed a few weeks ago, so these are being assessed, and 3 more today. But the reasons for which we are able to add more formal calls for proposals is that we are opening up the whole list of federal lands being available across the country. You're right. We now have 83, which is great news. We used to have 0 in the summer for a total of approximately 36,000 homes that would be built with these 83 federal properties. That's great news, just in a matter of 2 or 3 months. And as we add more, there will be more interest and therefore greater ability for the federal government to open up the formal process to transform those properties into affordable homes.
To be fair, though, if you're presenting this as quick action on the front, 36,000 isn't nothing. But the Parliamentary Budget Officer has assessed that there have to be 390,000 completions, not just starts, completions annually for the next 7 years in order to restore affordability. The starts alone, according to the CMHC, are just at 240,000. 36,000, as you said, it's like a drop in the bucket.
Yes, and that's because there are more drops in the bucket. This is only one piece. You're entirely correct. Now, this is only the federal lands piece, but we're doing a lot more because there are also all sorts of other lands available across cities and municipalities. That's why the Accelerator Fund is so important. It's accelerating the construction of 750,000 new homes.
That's over the next 10 years.
That's over the next, until 2031, plus other things like reduction of the elimination of GST on new apartments, another 300,000 homes, plus all the investments that provinces and territories are making with the financial support that providing them in Quebec. It's almost 25,000 additional homes that the Quebec government is going to be supportive of because of additional federal investments, some of which I just announced yesterday. So it's all part of a big package.
Are you sure the take-up is going to be there, though, for example, in this specific area that you're speaking of? Again, 83 parcels of land, only 5 requests for proposals. Does that scream success to you? Are you sure there's going to be more?
In just a few weeks, yes, but there's much more to come because now we've received 320 different inquiries on those the initial federal properties announced. So that's a large number of requests from serious partners that are interested in speeding up the availability of those lands. So working with municipalities, including on how do we provide them with better resources to change the zoning requirements, accelerate the approval of all sorts of permissions that they need to be granted, planning also, which is so important, working in collaboration with the private and the not-for-profit sectors and the federal government, because these are properties, but we also need partnerships. In cities, we hear that that's what makes a difference. The transparency around what is available and what do we need to invest our resources on.
Before I let you go, Minister, I just had one more thing to ask you, and it's about something separate, more political in nature. I know you'll be familiar with the talk on the debate on the Hill today around your cabinet colleague, Minister Randy Boissonnault. Are you comfortable with him remaining in cabinet?
Yes, I am, because Minister Boissonnault has been very, very clear. He has first explained the confusion, a confusion which is a confusion that many Indigenous peoples sometimes feel towards their identity. He also has apologized for the confusion and the impact of that confusion on many and many others. So having said that, I think we need to move on and recognize that we have business to do in the House of Commons around housing in particular. Now the Conservatives have been filibustering all the work that we needed to do in the last few weeks. We need to move on and do important things for Canadians.
Do you think, Minister, you would be as forgiving of a Conservative who misrepresented themselves as Indigenous when they were not? Do you think you would be as willing to give them the benefit of the doubt as you are your cabinet colleague?
Again, my colleague has been very clear.
He has not. With all due respect, he has not. He was forced into an apology by reporting.
Which he had to do, and which he did, and I'm sure he will keep explaining the confusion and explaining and apologizing for the confusion that this has created, and then to move on and do the important things that we need to do for Canadians.
Just really quickly, can you do both? And I think one of the really important things that your government has talked about so frequently is reconciliation, right? In that the Prime Minister, I remember referencing the relationship with the nation-to-nation relationship with Indigenous people as the most important one. How do you reconcile that with having someone in cabinet who essentially said he was Indigenous when he was not?
So that's why it is so important to focus on the legitimate needs and expectations of Indigenous peoples in Canada. We have made a lot of progress since 2015, but there is much more to do. And we all have a role to play. And that's going to be a long path. But there's a long path in the company of Indigenous peoples to achieve, as you said, the goal of true reconciliation and true affirmation of the rights of Indigenous peoples.
Okay, I'm going to leave it on that note. I've taken a lot of your time. I appreciate it, Minister. Thank you so much.
Thank you.